What's going on, guys? The Demigod back on Demigod ENT, down bringing you another movie review. So I just got out of theaters from witnessing The Eternals on the big screen, and man, oh man, it was definitely a cinematic experience. Now, first things first, going into this movie, man, the entire theater was fully packed out, sold out. Only, a few seats here and there that were not filled up. I mean, it was packed, and what I loved most about this, other than that, is that everyone in the theater waited until the very end, until the second post-credit scene, until the screen went to black to walk out of this film. And I definitely love stuff like that as a film lover, and it was definitely inspiring to see just what Marvel has built over the years and how much of trust they built with their fans and how much loyalty that people wait to the end of the film and even test their patience in a film that's as long as The Eternals, over 2.5 hours here. And it's a decent runtime, it really is. But let's go ahead and jump on into this review, guys. So I'm not going to go over the cast too much because, of course, there is 10 Eternals within inside of here. However, why don't I just start with the plot, okay? So the plot for this movie is the Eternals, a race of immortal beings with superhuman powers who have secretly lived on Earth for thousands of years, reunite to battle the evil deviants. Now, honestly, as we all know, this is a divisive film from the MCU, one of the more divisive films to release from the MCU, right? Because I believe the Rotten Tomatoes score is sitting at, what, 60% from the critics. And now I'm gonna go ahead and say that I can definitely see how this film would divide the audience, and I will say that this film is definitely not for the casual Marvel fan, for the casual MCU fan who just goes out to see the Marvel movie just because it has Marvel stamped on it, and they think they're just gonna witness a popcorn film with some good action and some quips and then go home happy. This is definitely not that film. Now, what Marvel was trying to do with this film is achieve something much bigger than they've recently attempted over the years. And while that may sound crazy to say, obviously with the release of Infinity War and Endgame and the build up to those films, I want you to keep in mind that while those two films are great, two of my favorite Marvel movies, I would probably even put them in my top 5, if not top 5, then top 10 Marvel movies. Those films do not work without you, watching the build up over the decade, over the 10 years to those events. If you were walking into that film without any previous history of the MCU, that film completely would not work for you. Now, I feel like The Eternals is the complete opposite. I feel like this film was an epic, very similar to an Infinity War or an Endgame, and not to exactly compare them to those films, but I'm just mentioning that the film is an epic and that it's a journey from start to end, and it's a real adventure, man. It really is. And I really loved the exploration of these characters, the Eternals. Now, at first, I'll be quite honest, I wasn't able to relate to these characters, being as they are these almost immortal beings, right? They are the Eternals, they're eternal beings, so they're hard to relate to, especially when you see them trying to fit into human roles. However, honestly, the more the movie went on and the more I sat through this film, the more the movie won me over. Now, like the first 30 minutes, first act of the film, I was a bit worried and I was a bit skeptical, not because of the reviews or anything. I went to this movie with a complete open mind, but just being that there was all these new characters on screen, it was this really grandiose thing that they were attempting here. 10 characters that they're trying to introduce here, plus villains, plus their whole backstory. I mean, there's so many themes and concepts inside of here, which I really loved about the movie. I will talk about that in just one second, but it seems like a really hard goal to achieve, which it definitely is. Not a lot of people will be able to pull this off, not a lot of studios. However, I feel like Marvel did pull this off and they did a good job here. I do. And while it is not without its flaws, this movie definitely has flaws. It is not a perfect Marvel movie by any means. I really love how expansive this movie is and how risk-taking this movie is. It's so fresh, it's so new, and it really feels like it could be its own thing even outside of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now, of course, it being tied to the Marvel Cinematic Universe breathes so much more life into it as a Marvel fan, and seeing concepts from the comics that I honestly never thought I would see on the big screen, such as the Celestials and so many other things we get to witness inside of this film. It was honestly breathtaking to witness on the big screen in that just beautiful cinematic experience. And like I said, by the end of this film won me over, the characters won me over, and this film is not your typical Marvel film by any means whatsoever. It is not a popcorn action film. I wouldn't say that this film drags by any means either, because I was not bored during this film. I was not falling asleep or when is this going to be over or how long is this taking. I wasn't feeling any of those things during this watch time. However, I will say that it is a long drawn out epic drama, and that is the main thing here, is that this is like this epic drama, and that is what I really loved about this, man. I mean, you really dive into these characters, you really dive into interesting concepts in these films that a lot of Marvel films maybe do not take on as much, or don't even attempt to go near. Now, this film touches on so many different things, so many different concepts, such as the questions of morality, you know, right from wrong, even in situations that aren't black and white, and how to deal with it, and so many other just deep, profound concepts inside of this movie, and ideas and thoughts. And this movie really made me think and consider different perspectives, pretty much. On top of the fact that, of course, let's go ahead and get this out of the way, this film is trying to be a little more inclusive than other Marvel movies have. Now, while I am not, you know, exactly a fan of things like that when they're forced or shoved into the movie, maybe like a Captain Marvel tried to do, I do not feel like Marvel tried to do that here. I don't feel like any of the inclusivity of this film was force shoved down the viewer's throat at all. In fact, it was very respectful. For example, there was a gay character with inside here. Now, they didn't over feminize this character or anything. He felt like a real person, you know what I'm saying? And his family felt real, and I really appreciated those things. And there was a deaf character inside of here. I liked seeing that on screen too, you know, something you would never consider, seeing this deaf superhero on screen, and what that would mean to, you know, deaf viewers who love Marvel movies, who love participating in Marvel movies. I'm sure that it's going to be a lot, and I really loved her character on film. And on top of that, of course, the costume design for these characters, the depth of these characters, the depth of this film, and the concepts, man, I really loved this film, guys. I really did. And like I said, this is definitely not for everyone. However, I think people who truly love cinema and who truly love film will appreciate this film. And honestly, this seems like a critic movie to me, how funny that may be, because I do usually side with the critics when I get done watching the film. You know, I've noticed that my opinions do skew more to this side. However, this time it does not, and it may not skew towards the audience side either. I'm not sure if the audience score is for this. I did not end up checking that out. However, what would Demigod score this movie? That's what matters most here. So I'm going to give the Eternals the official score here on Demigod ENT of an 8.5 out of 10. There it is up on screen, 8.5 out of 10. I really loved what Marvel attempted with this film. They took a ton of risks and a lot of things that might not have paid off that I feel did pay off, and I definitely need to go see this film again. And while I may not say I could recommend this film for everyone, I do feel like everyone should at least view this film one time. And especially if you're a Marvel fan, and especially if you're a comic fan, I think this film is definitely made for you. So all that being said, guys, those are my thoughts on this movie, and I have a lot more thoughts too, but I don't want to jump into spoilers too deep, so I'm gonna keep it there. Those are my thoughts on this movie. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section down below. If you don't know what I do here on Demigod ENT, I do show the reaction, show reactions, movie reviews, movie news, and unboxing videos. So if you're interested in any of that, you're in the right place, man. Hit subscribe, hit the like button, show this video some love. I drop multiple videos a day on this channel so that you can expect out of me. If you don't already know, I am the Demigod, the chosen one here on Demigod ENT, and I'm out of this thing, man. I appreciate y'all for watching with me. More movie reviews coming soon. I definitely wanted to touch on Dune and a couple other ones. I felt like another film that was very complex was Dune, and I felt like that was a film that I needed to watch more than one time before I brought a review for you guys, which is why I didn't deliver that, on top of some other things. But anyway, guys, I'm out of this thing. We'll discuss it next time I see y'all. Peace.